Stephanie, and welcome to my channel, Stephanie Stitches, where together we sew. If you're coming back, thank you so much for returning, and if you're new, welcome. I'm glad to have you here. I'd love it if you'd hit that subscribe button down below and ring the little bell so you can be notified when I go live or have new videos pop up. This is the Fort Worth Fabric Studio Valentine Mystery Quilt. So this is Love Week 2. So I'm super excited to get started on this with you guys. You can see the X's and O's behind me that we did last week, and then this week we're making these 9-patch blocks. We're going to make the 9-patch and then we're going to border them. So this is going to be a super simple, quick and easy week. And then next week will be the finishing. So lots of fun. I think next week we have another block to do and then we're going to put it all together. But this is a great week for beginners because a 4-patch or a 9-patch are the building blocks of quilting. So this week we're doing a 9-patch, and once you know how to do that properly, you can sew almost anything. So the most important thing is to get that 1/4 inch seam, and your 9-patch should turn out perfectly. So I'm going to stop the video for just a minute. I'm going to put my camera down so you guys can see what I'm looking at, my fabrics, and watch me sew. And then at the end, I'll put the camera back up so you can see me again. All right, let's get started. We're ready to get started. I took all of my fabrics out of my week 2 bag, and I've set them out here in front of me. So this is fabric A, which is our background fabrics. You should have 16 rectangles and 16 squares all together. Now I've made a couple blocks to show you what we were making, so I don't have 16 left, of course, but you guys should have 16 of each of those. And then you should have 16 of your C squares, 16 D squares, and 4 E squares. So this is a very simple and easy block this week. They're calling it a chain block. Chain blocks are great in quilts just to kind of fill space. So we're going to make a basic 9-patch, and then it's going to have borders. So this will be a fun, quick, and easy block. I'm going to move these guys up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually set the C blocks aside for a minute, and the rectangles, because we don't need them in the first part of this. And I'm going to lay these 9 patches out to make it easier for us to see what we're doing. So the E's are your red with the little hearts, and those are going to be the center of each of these blocks. And then you can either do it in order, left to right, the way you like, or you can build it like I'm building. So you're going to have a black square to the left and right of the red square, and to the top and bottom. Oops. I've got the dropsies today, so probably not going to be the last thing I drop. Okay, and as you can see, we're missing blocks here and here, so we're going to take these and we're going to fill in. So you should have 3 squares in each row and 3 rows per block to make your 9-patch block. So that's kind of what they're going to look like. Put these pins out of the way. So I'm just going to pick these up in order, one at a time, and sew across. I'm going to start with this one. Now I'm going to sew all of these together before I iron, just to make it easier so I'm not going back and forth. So I'm going to open that up And then I'm going to add the next piece in the row. We're just going to keep going like this for each row. I love that Fort Worth Fabric Studio recognized that there's a lot of new quilters out there and made this a beginner quilter friendly project. This is one of the easiest blocks to sew together. So if you're an advanced person, you could chain piece all of these. And that's what I would recommend to go faster, but I'm just showing you doing these one row at a time so they don't get mixed up. Okay, so there's the 3 rows for that block. We're going to do the same thing for this one. That row's done. Last row. Now, when we iron these in just a second, you're going to want to iron towards the black. Okay, so see how quick and easy those went together? That was fast. You're going to want to iron towards the black, so that way each of your rows will fit together nicely like a puzzle. Or nesting is what it's called. So I'm going to move these out of the way for just a minute. Move my direction sheet. Bring my ironing board over here. And I'm going to set my seam. Iron in towards the black. I'm going to do this on all of these. I'm going to iron towards the black. Okay. And that center row, I'm going to iron out towards the black. So away from the center red block. It's already going to start to look more like a block after you iron them. Now doing the other block, same thing, iron towards the center or towards the black. See how just ironing it already makes it look like a block? Isn't that cool? So somebody asked me in the comments in the last video how you clean your ironing board cover. Most ironing board covers, if you're using a regular ironing board, can go right in the washing machine. This one is permanent on here, so I can actually take this whole board and go to a sink and use some Dawn soap to clean it. It might look like it's dirty, but it's not dirty right now. It's just scorched because this little iron gets real hot, and when I use pressing solution or best press on here, it tends to scorch it a little bit more. So this isn't dirty, it's just stained from scorching, just so you know. But I can take this whole board over to like a sink and use some Dawn soap on it and wash it, and then just have to let it air dry. But that's the way I wash it. So now we're going to sew these blocks together. I'm going to start by taking the top row and flipping it onto the middle. And where these seams, these black seams, the black to the red and the black to the white meet, I'm going to put them right on top of each other, and you can sort of feel right there that they're setting together. That's called nesting your seams. And I'm going to pin right there so that doesn't move before I sew it. Same thing on this side. I've also heard making your seams kiss, which maybe that's more appropriate for this sew along. Whether they're kissing or nesting though, same thing. Alright, now we can sew that together. And hopefully, if I've pinned it correctly, once we're sewn it, those seams will come out just the way they should. Moment of truth. Open that up. And yes, my seams matched perfectly right there. So yeah, if you can nest up those seams, that's great. Okay, so now I'm going to take the bottom row and I'm going to lay it on the middle row just like we did on the top. And I'm going to nest those seams again. Now you can choose to pin or not pin. It's up to you. Most of the time I do not pin. But in cases like this where I want these little blocks to come out and those seams to match up, I will pin. Because this cute little like 9-patch checkerboard look won't look as cute if our seams don't come out. There we go. And it doesn't take but a minute or a second to pin, so. Okay, let's see how that came out. Awesome. So there's what our block is going to look like. Let's set that one aside while I do the same thing with this one. ones come out. And now the last one. So you're going to make 4 of these all together. Don't forget, we're doing 2 together right now because I already have done 2, but you'll need to do 4 at home. But as you can see, they don't take very long, so 2 more is not going to add a whole lot more time to your day. Now the instructions for pressing these blocks say press as you like. So when I did my first 2 on my own, oh good, that came out. When I did my first 2 on my own, I tried pressing in, I tried pressing out, and these were all still quite a bit bulky. So these last 2 seams that we just made, I'm actually going to press those open. I'm not a big press open kind of person, but they were pretty bulky and I couldn't get the blocks to go flat without doing that. So I'm going to start by pressing them both out first. Set the seam, press out, and then I'm going to flip that block over, and I'm going to get my pressing pen, which you don't have to have one of these. This has got a starch alternative solution in it. It just helps me to press these a little bit flatter, but you don't have to have this. If you best pressed or starched your fabric before we started, that will also help get these flatter. And so now I'm going to press that seam nice and open. Okay, now I'm going to do the other one. And then I'm going to do the same to the other block as well. Oh, that's definitely better. So much flatter with it pressed open. So here's the difference. Of course, this one we haven't pressed at all yet, but a lot flatter, even if I just hold those down. So that was a good choice. Okay, so I'll do the same thing to this one. I'm going to set that seam. Press that out to begin with. Set the seam on this side. Do the same thing. Okay, so that's with it's pressed out and that's with it open. So now you really can see this one's really flat and this one's a little bit poofy still. So Nice flat block. Okay, so we've got the two 9-patch parts of the block made. Put this aside. The next part is to add our borders pieces. So this is how it's going to get laid out. You're going to put a black piece to the left and right of each block. And then we're going to put one to the top and bottom, but before we sew those together, before we put the top and bottom on, we're going to add one of these cute little heart blocks to either end of the black rectangle, and then that will become the top and bottom. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is add all these red pieces on first before we start sewing them to the blocks. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. Okay, so let's put those on. There's one. Two. Three, and the last one. Okay, now I'm going to sew the left and right onto our 9-patch, and then I'm going to take all of this and iron it at the same time before we add these to the top and bottom. Okay, so now that I have all those sewn together and these sewn together, I'm going to bring my ironing board back over and I'm going to iron all of these at the same time. And I'm going to iron these black out away from the 9 patch. Anytime you use high contrast fabrics like this, we've got the black and we've got the white right next to it, you'll want to iron, if possible, the black away from the lighter fabric because you may end up being able to see it underneath. We don't want that to happen. We want to see those pretty fabrics, those white ones with those little hearts, they're so cute. The best rule of thumb is iron to the dark side, and if there's not really a dark side or a light side, then my next rule of thumb is to iron the direction that leaves the least amount of bulk. So these guys I'm going to iron towards the black, so in away from the heart. So we'll set that seam there. We are almost done already. The last one to iron. Put them aside. And now we can sew these to the top and bottom of each block. Like so. Now, here again, you're going to want to nest those seams, and you can pin or not pin, it's up to you. One side. Do the same with the other side. moment of truth. Open it up. Oh good. All of my seams match up. I'll do the last block and then we'll iron them both and we'll be done. So let's see. Let me attempt to do this one without pinning and we'll see what happens. It's a little fussier this way because you got to hold it in place more. See if it stayed where I wanted it to. Yeah, actually came out pretty good without the pins. So I'll put those away. And we'll do this one last side. Alright, that one looks good too. Alright, now I'm going to iron these. And again, I'm going to iron these out towards the black or towards the outside of the block. I'm not ironing these ones open. I think they're going to be okay. There's not as much bulk as there was in that 9 patch because there's so many more seams in the 9 patch. But you're welcome to press it any way you like. There's one. Okay. And do try to set your seams before you flip them out. It does really help with ironing. Make your fabric go the way you want it to. Behaves better, I guess. Alright, there's the second one. So there we are. There's both of the blocks. Now don't forget you're going to make 4. I've already made 2, so that way I could show you at the beginning what we were making. So you're going to make 4 of these. I'm going to stop my camera for a second and I'm going to move it back up. So hang on just a second. Okay, so here we are. We're all done and I've got the blocks hanging on the wall behind me now. So we've got our X's and O's and we've got our 9 patch blocks. They're calling them chain blocks. Sorry, I forgot for a minute what they called them. Chain blocks. So we are 2/3 through this project already after only 2 weeks. So I'm super excited. I cannot wait to see the final product next week. We have one more block to make next week and then we're going to put all these together and we're going to have our cute little table topper, or you can use it as a wall hanging or a baby quilt or anything you want to do with it. So I can't wait for that. I hope you come back. I'm going to show you how to make the block, how to finish the project, and I will make another video after we're done with that to show you how I quilted mine. So hope you stick around, come back, and I will see you next Monday. Thanks for sewing with me, guys. Take care. Bye.